process is open from you see that in our process you see.
Fire group! Quick! March!
That's so far. Much better.
Inspection group, quick march!
On behalf of the Ugandans, I'm very happy to be here. I recruited myself into the ANC in Dar es Salaam. I just walked to Swai Priso's office and I became a member of ANC. You can see now, 55 years later, at that time, really, nobody could believe that we would be here in Pretoria, because the situation in the world was very complicated. So I congratulate the people of South Africa for the big struggle they waged, especially the young people in 1976. That uprising really gave us hope. Even we who were outside, we could see that things were going to change. Now, when we had capacity to do some small contribution, 1989, when the ANC had some issues in Angola, we did not hesitate. Mr. de Klerk wrote to me, said, first of all, the British, they came and said, no, you should be friends with de Klerk. And actually they sent me a man called Malan. Malan was Minister of Defense or something like that. He came to Uganda, and the British were trying to say that we should have a relationship with the white government here. I said, no problem. I actually wrote to de Klerk and told him that we have no problem. We can be friends, we can talk with the whites, but you don't abandon your own brothers for the sake of friendship. Friendship must not be what takes me from my brother. So we are very happy that we are here where we are now. Now, when South Africa was approaching freedom, as I was telling His Excellency, I had long talks with Museveni Mandela. When he came from jail, he first went to Zambia, then he came to Uganda. Then we had long talk. There were now new possibilities. Apart from struggling together, there was now the possibility of working on prosperity together. From the phase of struggling to the phase of working for joint prosperity. And those opportunities are still there. So therefore, the Joint Commission should study what can Uganda do best and sell to South Africa, and what can South Africa do best and sell to Uganda. Because really a durable relationship must be based on business, not just sentiments. There are some things which Uganda can do best and sell to South Africa and vice versa. For instance, I know there is the issue of coal. We have very high grade iron ore in Uganda, but iron ore, one needs coal to turn iron ore into steel. And our part of the world, as you can see, is very far from the ocean, 1,000 miles. Now, bringing steel products from China, from India, from Ukraine in the past, very expensive. The freight alone, the transport, is bigger than even the cost of the product itself. So it is very important that we develop an inland steel industry for Uganda and for those areas around. But here we need coal from South Africa. Some people are talking of hydrogen. They say we can use hydrogen, but they are still saying it is a bit expensive. That it is easier to use coal through Mombasa. So these items should be listed. South Africa, this and that and that. Don't just come to like we do in the African Union, Madame, Excellence, just like a theater. That's why I don't attend those African Union meetings anymore. I don't have time for. So come with concrete. What can Uganda produce that South Africa needs? What can South Africa produce? For me, I have told you about coal. And we are developing electric cars. We have already moved very far. Electric cars, our scientists have built them. But in order for the electric vehicles, buses, to be economic, it is also good that we make the batteries locally in Uganda. And of course, we are looking at lithium and other minerals in Uganda. They may be there, but in case they are not, South Africa has got a lot of those minerals. So you can check that, so that you go industry, even if there are 5 or 6, which you identify, you say South Africa can do this, Uganda can do this, and Uganda can be assisted to do this. And now of course, Uganda has got, with agriculture, things are much easier, because here away from the equator, I hear people have got only one rainy season. That's what I hear. But there, near the equator, we have 2 rainy seasons. That's why these Ugandans are lazy, you see, because life is very easy for them. You don't have to work very hard, you know. Even a fool can survive in Uganda. So those agro-based that South Africa may need, cheap. They are plenty. They are plenty. Because I don't know, where do you get your bananas from? Do you grow bananas here?
Yes, we do. In the north and in the east.
Big panties or?
Yeah, towards the north, yes, but not as big as yours. Not as big as yours.
So really, that's what this Ministry of Trade, the other young lady, there's my brother here. This is we are together. He's as old as me. This one is quite ancient. This one here, but the other young girl, she's you should help the old man to list. Don't just come, Excellence, Madame, Mademoiselle. So really this is, but then there's also, there's now the bilateral, but there is the producing for third-party markets. The companies can come from South Africa, based in Uganda, or even vice versa, but produce for the US market, because we have got access to that market. USA market, European Union market, Chinese market, using the raw materials of Uganda, which are plenty. That would be, in my view, another area we should look at in detail, not just vaguely. Then finally, as His Excellency was saying, the issue of pacifying Africa, because we are talking of the CFTA, Continental Free Trade Area. But this Continental Free Trade Area will be a trade area only if it is peaceful. But now the whole place is in chaos. What we told, the good thing is that what these young people like the other one is calling history, I call current affairs. Because I was there all this time when all these things were happening. Now, when we started with our elders, Mzee Mandela was in jail, Mzee Oliver Tambo was in London, but we were active with Mwalimu Nyerere, because Mwalimu Nyerere was in charge of Tanganyika by that time. And these people thought it was a joke. There were two lines. The imperialists and those who listened to them, and we who were led by Mwalimu Nyerere and Nkrumah and other people, who wanted freedom, freedom meaning freedom. Now, the other group did not listen to us. Not only that, but they killed many of our people. They killed Lumumba. In Congo, they thought they were very smart. Killed Lumumba. Why did you kill Lumumba? Because Lumumba was independent-minded. In Burundi, they killed Rwagasore. They killed Ngenda Numwe. They killed in Rwanda, they killed the king there, Rudahigwa. Then in West Africa, they were killing all these people, Felix Mumi and all that. They overthrew Nkrumah. They thought they were very clever. They overthrew Modibo Keita in Mali. So their strategy was puppets. Put puppets everywhere. Even in Tanganyika, they tried to overthrow Mwalimu at one time. They tried, but they didn't succeed. In Obote, in Uganda, they even overthrew Obote, whom they mistook for a leftist. Obote was not a leftist. But they got rid of Obote and put Idi Amin. So now, what is happening is that whatever somebody sows, that's what he harvests. So all these traitors have now collapsed in Mali, in Burkina Faso, in Central African Republic. It's chaos everywhere.
South Africa is proud of its very deep and fraternal relations with Uganda, relations that date back to the struggle against colonialism and apartheid. At great risk and sacrifice, Uganda stood firm in its support for the goals of our liberation struggle and contributed materially and in many other ways to help us achieve our freedom and our democracy. On behalf of the people of South Africa, allow me to express our appreciation to the people of Uganda for their contribution to our freedom. Relations between our two countries are based on the principles of mutual respect, the promotion of Pan-Africanism, and a commitment to human rights and also to the emancipation of women. I sincerely hope that the Ugandan delegates are showcasing opportunities for investment and procurement in Uganda's burgeoning gas and oil sector. South Africa would most certainly be interested in being part of this economic development in Uganda. It does not make economic sense nor political sense for African countries to trade with and procure from countries abroad when the services, the finances, the commodities, and the products that they seek are available right here on the continent. The AFCFTA presents huge economic opportunities to grow intra-African trade and to deepen bilateral cooperation and continental integration as well. Increased intra-Africa trade will propel the growth of our economies and contribute towards continental stability and prosperity. South Africa sees Uganda as an important player in East Africa. As a continent, we need to continue towards peaceful resolutions of conflicts that occur on our continent. And South Africa strongly believes in African solutions for African problems.
The ANC was the first anti-colonial movement that the Africans created in 1912 after the continent had been taken over by the imperialists by 1900, except for Ethiopia. Now the ANC started in the tradition of Pan-Africanism. I don't know how much it was involved with the African Americans who were friendly, like W.B. Du Bois and others. I think they were also, if I remember well. Now later on, the ANC was joined by other movements in Africa, like the one of Ghana, of Nkrumah, like the one of Mwalimu Nyerere, TANU, and we who came later. We are all in the tradition of Pan-Africanism. Now, I'm glad I normally call newspapermen in Uganda, I call them rumor mongers. I don't know whether you are fact mongers or rumor mongers here, but nevertheless, I will tell you what I think. The Pan-Africanism is a scientific concept. It's not an emotional one. It's not that we are all black, we are all what, we live in. No, it has got reasons. Reason number one, do you want to be prosperous or not? This, you need to answer it. If you say, our people want to be prosperous, you say yes. If not, you say no. Let them remain poor. But if you say, yes, I want the African people to be prosperous, then the next question is, how will they be prosperous? Because to be prosperous, you must have a good life, a good house, some income, good food, health. How will you get these? Can you get them by donations? If somebody says, don't worry, you sleep, I will donate things to you and you will be prosperous. If you think that one is possible, you can go by that. But for us, with the student movement of the 1960s, who were followers of our elders, the two generations, the generation of 1912, I don't remember very well who were very active there. You need to educate us because these were mainly ANC. Then the generation of the 1940s, these are the Mandelas, the Mwalimu Nyereres, the Nkrumahs, and we of the 1960s. So I regard myself as third generation anti-colonial fighter. So our understanding of prosperity comes from two lines. Line one, education for all. And I want to congratulate ANC. I'm told that you are educating all these South Africans. Now, the moment you know that in order to be prosperous, one line is education, but the other line is producing a good or a service and selling it. Then the next question is, who will buy your good or your service? In Uganda, they thought they were believing in tribalism, in religious sectarianism, and we were laughing at them. So, but what you are believing in is a hoax. But they were believing that because they were asleep. They didn't know how to get prosperity. Now, when they woke up a bit and they started producing goods and services, they found that they needed the Uganda market, 44 million people. But soon they found that the Uganda market is not even enough. They needed the East African market, they needed the African market. So therefore, when we say, please, Pan-Africanism, issue number one is to deal with the issue of prosperity. Prosperity through the sale of goods and services to as many people as possible. That's how you become prosperous. The second question is, do you want security, strategic security, against all threats? Now, if you think Uganda can be secure alone, then you are deceiving yourself. That's why we, the Pan-Africanists, again tell you that if you want prosperity, Pan-Africanism. You want strategic security, again Pan-Africanism. That's how you can get it. But the third one is, by the way, why do you find it difficult to unite these Africans? Do you know they are all they're either similar or linked? Like if I go to the Zulus and I say, what do you call a woman? The Zulu will say, Mufazi, or something like that. Then I say, Mukazi. So, then if I say, what do you call a child? I think the Zulu will say, Mwana, or something like that. Mutwana. Then I say, Mwana. Then in some of the Zimbabwe languages, I used to hear Mukono. Mukono meaning arm. The language is of Mugabe. So this was exactly. So the third question is, why do you find difficulty, you people who are similar or linked, getting together to deal with your prosperity and your strategic security?
Today, I now understand why you wear a hat. I wish I also got into the habit of wearing a hat, because you seem to have brought the Ugandan sun right at the equator with you to South Africa, because it's burning hot. But we're still very happy and delighted with your presence here. The purpose of President Museveni's visit to us here was to review our bilateral relations and to see the extent to which those relations can be strengthened. We have noted significant progress in the implementation of agreements that we have had in the past, and as testament to our growing relations, we have just witnessed the signing of further agreements and memoranda of understanding. I had the opportunity in my discussions with His Excellency President Museveni to convey to him that South Africa remains keen on investing in Uganda and particularly in a number of sectors in banking, retail, telecommunications. We hope that Ugandan businesses will also find their way in investing in South Africa for the mutual benefit of our two countries. As we speak now, the business leaders from both South Africa and Uganda are involved in a business forum, which both of us will visit later and address as well. And we expressed our strong views that we should always find ways to resolve the issues that impede economic growth and development between our two countries. And we've agreed that our two trade ministers will need to be engaged to put in place a mechanism that will ensure matters such as the protection of investment in our respective countries. Our discussions have been expansive. They've covered quite a number of areas, particularly the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement that needs to be implemented. It also covered the whole process of peacemaking on our continent and to ensure that we do indeed get as many countries that are currently afflicted by war and strife to return to peaceful coexistence of their own countries. The Eastern DRC was covered, as was Ethiopia, and the efforts that we all have made to bring about the cessation of hostilities. And we have also looked at the peace process in other parts of our continent and continue to pledge our solidarity with other parts of our continent like Western Sahara that are still struggling to get to a peaceful situation. We also did talk about the issue of making sure that we have more and more of a multilateral dispensation in the world, and also decried the lack of a permanent representation by Africa in the UN Security Council, and continue to urge for the reform of that body. We congratulated President Museveni on Uganda's nomination as the incoming chair of the non-aligned movement. We believe that Uganda's chairing of the non-aligned movement will advance the interests of developing economies. In conclusion, the state visit that has been undertaken by President Museveni to our country has reinforced the firm political and economic relations between our two nations. By deepening these relations, we as South Africans have also taken time to thank the sacrifices that were made by Uganda in helping us achieve our own freedom. Uganda is one of those countries that was firmly in support of our struggle, and they made sacrifices by giving us resources, by giving us maximum support. And when we attained our freedom, it was as though Uganda itself had attained its own freedom. So we will continue to thank you, President Museveni, and the people of Uganda for the support that you've offered us.
Thank you very much, ministers. I have the honor to request Minister Mbalula and Minister Byamukama to sign the memorandum of understanding on transport-related matters. Ministers.